This is the Evoluent vertical mouse, and it's pretty much different than any other vertical mouse you can find. Now, straight out of the box, it looks just like any other vertical mouse. It's just a little bit weirder. It's a little bulkier. There's some odd chrome on it, which you can actually buy some that doesn't have chrome. And another thing unique about this mouse is it comes in different sizes. So it's gonna fit people with small hands, medium, or large size hands. And you'll also notice the material on it is pretty cheap. It's just regular cheap plastic. It doesn't have any real weight to it. In my opinion, if you look at more expensive mice like the Logitech series or the MX Master, they have a little bit more heft to them and they just look much better. They are also made out of plastic, but they are made out of a little bit better plastic materials. And this just kind of looks kind of cheaply made, but it's actually a really good mouse in comparison to any other vertical mouse that I've found. And the main thing here is just how it fits the hand. Now it works like any other vertical mouse, but this mouse, it fits the hand just like the hand should fit. So if you are doing any splinting or if you know anything about hand injuries, you probably have learned about this safe position where it's just the best optimal position for the hand. And it's like you're shaking someone's hand. Like if you just reach out to shake someone's hand, and it's just the best position for any prolonged period of time. So you don't want your hand pronated or like the other extreme, which is supinated. And it's nice to have that middle ground, which is a neutral position, and that's kind of what this mouse does. Now you might say that other mice do this as well, but other mice, like if you look at the alternatives, which are probably like the Logitech Ergo or MX Master, there's the Logitech Lift. Those mice are really good. They have really good software. They have better tracking than this mouse, but the problem is they just don't fit the hand that well. They look cool, but when you put your hand on them, they don't fit the contour of the hand. And the reason why you want this neutral position is because if you're gonna be mousing all day, it's just a better position overall to prevent wrist pain or any other strain that you might be having with your fingers. So in my opinion, this is probably one of the best mice that you can use to prevent issues that you might have later down the road, or if you are just starting a job and you plan to work in an office for years to come, I would say this is like a great mouse to prevent some issues. Or it could be a really good just like secondary mouse if you want to just try something different and get out of that pronated position. But that's the most distinguishing feature. It's just the best ergonomic mouse that you can find if vertical is the best position. And I've read a lot of articles. They do say that there isn't like sufficient evidence to say that it's better than a regular pronated mouse, but in my opinion, I would say that it tends to lead towards preventing a lot of conditions. If you have carpal tunnel, if you have any wrist pain, I think this could be a better mouse option. Now, a lot of people will say that you're still going to be moving your wrist back and forth, but with this mouse, you're actually not, because your hand is kind of more rested on the table and it kind of prevents you from that back and forth motion. After using this mouse for about 3 weeks, I noticed that I was hardly moving my wrist at all. But I would just say the main difference from this mouse and any other mouse is just the ability to not have to use your thumb a whole lot. You can just rest your thumb and not having to move your wrist a whole lot, and then keeping your hand and wrist in a nice neutral position, which I feel like no other mouse really does this. And I would say that the Evoluent mouse is probably the best mouse that I've found that keeps you in that correct position. Now, another thing that's cool about this mouse is it actually has like a side rail for your hand. So if you look at pretty much any other ergonomic mouse, like you're resting your hand on the mouse and you're kind of rubbing it along the table, like you're rubbing your hand along the table. The Evoluent mouse kind of fixes this problem because it's not completely vertical, so your hand is kind of more like this position. It's kind of like a little bit on the side, and it has a little lip like under your hand, so and you're resting it on that lip. So when you slide it back and forth, when you move your hand to mouse, you're just resting it on the actual mouse rather than the table, and I think that's a huge reason to get this mouse over any other vertical mouse, because most vertical mice, they don't have that lip and you're just dragging your hand along the table. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about pros and cons. So I would say pro is going to be comfort. This mouse is comfortable. It's easy to fit in the hand. If you think about it, it's kind of like the Logitech MX Master. That's another mouse that I reviewed, and I think it's one of the most comfortable mice you can find. In terms of comfort, I would say that the MX Master is probably the best for comfort, and this Evoluent vertical mouse is slightly worse, but we'll get to that in a second. Another pro for this mouse is it's just really easy to connect. I just plugged it in, it connected to my computer right away. I didn't have to plug in any dongle or anything like that. It's just you plug it in and it started working right off the bat. I use like Apple computers. I have a MacBook, and a lot of times with mice, if you click the mouse, it will turn the screen on, and sometimes there's a delay. I didn't find that at all with this mouse, and I had the wireless version, and so that's just another pro with it. Another pro with this mouse is you're just not going to be moving your wrist as much, and it's just going to be really good for people that have a hand injury or a wrist injury, or maybe they've been mousing for years and they're just starting to notice some issues with their hand. So it's going to be great for people like that. It's going to be great for people with carpal tunnel or any other tendonitis or wrist pain or wrist strain. Okay, what are the cons? So the major con that I noticed is if you're not sitting in the best ergonomic position, you can actually cause some ulnar wrist pain. So right here, I noticed as my hand was resting, you're putting more pressure on your on your ulna, and I noticed a little bit of wrist pain right down here. I almost feel like you want it a little bit, your desk lower than 90 degrees to your elbow or at that neutral elbow height to benefit from what this mouse has to offer. Because if you have your desk too high, you're going to be bringing your hand up a little higher and you're going to be resting it with a little bit too much pressure on the ulnar aspect of your hand. Another con that I had with this mouse is it just has poor precision. So if you're moving it around, if you're used to like mousing really quickly and navigating like normally, I noticed a little bit of a lag. I was just slower. It was harder to get to places. And maybe this is a learning curve, but I was using it for like 3 weeks and I just kind of felt like I was much slower than I was with my other mouse. And I think it's just because of the position of being vertical. This could change over time. I didn't fully test this out because I only had 3 weeks to test it, but I did notice that I was much more clumsy and more slow with my mousing. Another con is just the quality is really poor. Like it kind of seems kind of tinny and hollow. The plastic material is just kind of thin, and I would just say the overall build quality is not that great, and that's why I think some of the Logitech series mice are just a better option for durability. And then the last con is just that this mouse it doesn't have any software. So there's a lot of other mice like Logitech, right? Logitech has this amazing software. You can designate certain buttons for different software that you're using. For example, you can click a button just to open a program on your computer. The Logitech software is just really good and fluid, and then you can also use like different computers with the same mouse, which makes it like a great option. Where this mouse, it doesn't have anything like that. It's just you plug it into the computer and it works like a regular mouse. Now, in my opinion, if there was a perfect vertical mouse, it would be a combination of the MX Master, this Evoluent vertical mouse, and the Apple mouse. So let me explain why. I think the MX Master is just the best vertical mouse that's been made. It's just incredibly comfortable to use. I like the software features that it comes with, but I think it would be nice if it's a little bit more vertical. So right now it's kind of pronated. If you could just move it slightly to make it more vertical, I think it would be a better mouse, just so you're in a more neutral position. I wouldn't want it all the way. I wouldn't want it completely vertical because then you're putting pressure on the bottom of your hand. And then I would also like the benefits of the Apple mouse, because I know the Apple mouse is not ergonomic in any way at all, but I like the touch sensitivity. So I like the scroll wheel with the mouse. I think the scroll wheel is awesome because it just makes it easy, really easy to scroll. But I like the ability to use 2 fingers on the Apple mouse. You can swipe back and forth. I think that's really nice for scrolling, sometimes when you're doing like horizontal scrolling. And then there's a lot of other gesture controls that you can use with the Apple mouse just by using gestures with your fingers. I think that's a really cool feature to have. That's one thing that I miss about having that mouse. When I use the MX Master and I'm doing like anything like video editing or things like that, like I'm using my thumb to use the scroll wheel, and I think it's just a really poor design because I think that the thumb shouldn't be scrolling. I think it should be the two fingers. Okay, so just a quick summary. I would say, yeah, if you're dealing with wrist pain, if you're gonna be at an office and spend like hours each day mousing, I would say this is a great alternative mouse. I would say get this mouse, try it out for a few weeks, see what you think, consider using it as like an alternative mouse. In my opinion, the best mouse for ergonomics overall. I love the MX Master. I know that it's a more pronated position, but I think it's just, it fits the hands really well. I love the software that comes with it. In it has better precision. It's really easy, and I feel like I'm the fastest using that mouse than any other mouse. But I think that the Evoluent is a good mouse to trade off from time to time, just so you're not in that pronated position all the time, just to kind of improve your ergonomics. And so I think it's a great secondary mouse, or I think it's just a great mouse for anyone that is having like some major wrist or hand issues or noticing some pain in their hand. All right, guys, so share your comments below. I want to hear your thoughts on this, and also like share what you think would be the best like features of an ergonomic mouse. Please like, subscribe. I will see you in the next one, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.